Hello everyone, my name is Sahil and I'm a real estate consultant. So in this video I'm going to cover what is better to buy in a tier 2 or tier 3 city or actually invest in a tier 1 city. Generally the argument or the sentiment of this debate is you can get a better deal in terms of space, in terms of quality of life thing in a tier 2 or tier 3 city comparing to a tier 1 city. That is somewhat true, but there are some pros and cons to both of the cases. So if you're getting something there, you will be compromising a lot of things in tier 2, tier 3 city. If you're getting good things in tier 1 city, you are also compromising a lot of things. It's the big spacious homes and pollution is one of the problem, high density, overcrowdedness. These are the problem, yes, you will face in a tier 1 city. And whereas in a tier 2 city, the problem you will be facing are in a differently. So before going to that, let me take a case. So assuming generally the argument and general topic of discussion is why someone who should go for a tier 2 or tier 3 city is someone who is working in a US based or any company which allows them a remote work option. So instead of living in a tier 1 city, you can always go to a tier 2 and tier 3 city, buy a big spacious home and have that quality of life and work. That is somewhat true. I'm not denying it, it's not 100% right. It is somewhat true. Assuming that this is going to be case for your whole life or whole working period. This is your case. Now the actual thing is not investing in a tier 2 city, because the reason why you should be investing in a tier 2 city is you'll be able to save rent, but rent in tier 2 and tier 3 city are extremely low and the demand is not there to make those rent increase or skyrocket in such a way. And this is not true in a tier 1 city, because the demand is high because a lot of people migrate to a tier 1 city and the demand increases and the supply is fairly or extremely limited, but yes. So then investing in a tier 2 city and getting the premium of rental would be a better deal. Now, if you're living in a tier 2 city, how the rental scenario works there. So generally what happens is, assuming that in a place there are 100 houses, and in a tier 3 city where 100 houses are available for rent, the demand will fairly be around 80. It won't exceed 100. In an ideal scenario, it is 100 out of 100. 100 houses there and 100 people want to live there. Then the rent would be at a decent value, or the value that the property deserves. But if now the problem in tier 3 city is the people are not actually migrating there. The people who are living in tier 3 city are generally native to it, or they're coming from a very small city that might be not a city. They'll be coming from very small villages. Those are the people, and they won't give you the premium of rent because their incomes are not that great. Okay, so then this is the case. Majority of rental in tier 2, tier 3 cities are extremely low. The demand is not there. Whereas in tier 1 city, yes, you will be compromising a lot of big sizes house, and you'll be living in apartment. And, yes, there are problems, but the demand is way more than that. If there are 100 units or 100 flats are available in a tier 1 city, the demand is easily above 200. So this creates a lot of imbalance, and this creates a lot of problem because people are coming and the demand is not satisfied. So that's why people live way far away from the area they want to live, because the unit is available in their budget range, and people live in a lot of sharing concept. So couple of people get a 3 BHK with a higher rent and are willing to live in sharing single room, sharing the flat and living in 3 people living in 3 rooms, or it can go up to 6 people also, because 2 people are sharing a single room. That is generally the case here in a tier 1 city, right? So let's moving ahead with the tier 2. Now assuming that you are someone who is living there and working remotely. Now you are renting. So the reason I would suggest you shouldn't be buying it is you can rent it in a much cheaper price and you'll be able to save that money to invest in a better asset. That can be a small house in a tier 1 city, which will give you more rental compared to a tier 3 city. Or you can invest in a another asset class, that can be gold or your silver, or you will be going for stock market also if that suits you. Okay, now let's coming back to the example where, I mean, it's another case scenario. Now someone who wants to live in a tier 2 city, and generally people go to their hometown. So what does it do is, people who have the remote work and want to live in a way that are traveling to work, I mean, they have to travel to work less. I mean, they don't not traveling on a daily basis. They have to go for a couple of days to their work site, and they can live in a tier 2 or 3 city. Generally they live in their hometown, which is, I mean, they're aware about it. So majority of people have their ancestral land or some house there. And what does people do is, they create a extremely big or extremely luxurious house in their village or their hometown. So the problem with this is, because you're spending a lot of money on construction, the cost of construction is almost same in a tier 2 or tier 3 city. It's just the variation is the land price is different. The cost of labor is a little different. In tier 1, 2 cities, the cost of labor is high, it's way high. In a tier 3 or a village, the cost of labor is fairly low. This is the difference you will see. So if you're making a luxurious house or a bungalow, whatever it is, that won't be a wiser situation, because you will get a big house and a fancy living thing, but you won't get the fancy perks of living in a village or tier 3 city, which are connectivity to public transport, which is like either it's an airport or railway station, you won't get there. So if you have to travel for work for like 10 days, then you have to travel a lot. And by a lot, I mean you can be traveling up to 100 to 200 kilometers just to get to an airport. Okay. Second thing is the quality of your basic needs, which is quality of education won't be there, because the teachers who are extremely good in their particular field and they are highly skilled teachers will be living in a tier 1 city, because that is the place where their skill set is rewarded appropriately. Same goes for the doctor. Highly qualified, experienced doctor will be working in a tier 1 city and big hospitals rather than in a village or a tier 3 city. So you will be sacrificing there if something problem has happened. Okay. Lack of basic infrastructure, that is still missing. I mean, we do say we are missing those infrastructure in a bigger city. Yes, we do have a problem, but the problem is because the density is quite high, and the things which are built up get destroyed much more faster because a lot of people use that. But in a tier 3 or tier 4 city, in fact in tier 2 cities, the density is low, but the things available are quite less. So a lot of bus stops won't be there. There no chance of you having a metro in a tier 3 city. There are a couple of tier 2 cities which are getting metro, but still, right? No metro, no public transport, buses, all those kind of things. There won't be luxury of life, which is your Swiggy, Zomatos, or your quick commerce, your e-commerce. These kind of things won't be available there. And if they are, the chances, the options will be extremely limited. So you won't be having a lot of big brands, you won't be having a lot of places to spend. A lot of entertainment option won't be available there, because PVR generally is available in big cities. The quality of internet will be a little shitty. So here you can have 10 plus more internet players and have a lot of high speed internet, and a lot of option is available there. But this thing will be a problem in a tier 3 or tier 4 city, which will become a problem for you if your business or your job depends on solely on internet, right? So these kind of, you are getting something in tier 2, 3 or 4 cities, but you are trading something. And same thing goes in tier 1 cities. You are getting couple of luxurious thing in your life, but you are trading something. So you have to see if you want to live in a tier 4, tier 3 or tier 2 city, you can, but investing in real estate there won't be a good option. Instead, if you are able to buy some smaller unit in a tier 1 city, that will be a better deal, because you will be able to get better rent. You will be able to offset that tier 2 city rent or tier 3 city rent with your tier 1 city rent, even though you are living in a better place, right? Second thing, when your parents in need of a medical thing, or your kids want to go in a big city to pursue their education, you will always have an option to, a place where they can go and live, and they don't have to struggle for rental or home in a tier 1 city, which is quite a big problem. So if I would extremely suggest that always rent in a tier 2 or tier 3 city, and always buy in a tier 1 city, so that in the overall, in the longer run, you are in a better position in terms of your growth. So this is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.